times and it didn't work. You sort of flew off the radar or fell off the radar. What did you do differently this last time, especially August 2019, when things really started to change for you? What did those first days and weeks look like practically?
Um, the real reason, I mean, I've learned over the past couple of months or over the year that the only reason I kept ending up back in jail was because I kept making excuses. And I learned earlier that and it's a quote that I live by, and I've used it to motivate myself was, if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. Otherwise, you make excuses. And when I heard that, I really was just like, wow, that's a really grown up quote, like just stop all the bull crap and get to where you need to be, and nobody else is gonna give you your future but you. Nobody's gonna build your future but you. And I think if you put that with sobriety, nobody's gonna give you your sobriety but you. You know, I mean, I know for some people it's hard, and some people's journeys are different. But all of our struggles are the same. And so I just stopped making excuses. That was the key thing for me. Was I kept making excuses to go get high, keep making excuses to miss probation, or and I just had enough.
Yeah. No, it reminds me of the old, if you point the finger at somebody or something, you got three pointing back at you.
Yeah.
So it's such good advice to think, to start with yourself, right? Like what could I have done differently, or what can I do here? Because the accountability, owning it, and when you can say like, yep, that's it starts with me. And if I'm not ready to change, nothing else is going to fall in place. If I keep making excuses or justifying like why I'm doing this, you're already setting that justification for, well, if I do end up going back and using, or if I do end up you know failing at this, like, I've already kind of set the table for that. Whereas you're just, I like that, the attitude that it was just no more excuses. It's on
Yeah,
you,
I've, I've
and you owned it.
I've had plenty of times where I've asked myself, like, I want to change, but I'm just not ready. I feel like I'm not ready to change yet. And later down the road, I realized like that was actually the addiction talking. The addiction was, not realizing I had that addiction was, preventing me from trying to make that next move. And, I just kind of like blocked that out, and I just started to make the changes. And it takes a lot of willpower. Um, I'm at where I'm at without, having, I mean, I had intense treatment through drug court, but I wanted it. And that is I think the most important is for somebody who's trying to be sober is you're gonna have to want it bad,
Mhm.
and the sad thing about addiction is it's, people who are addicted don't start to make changes until they you know, over that mountaintop, or whatever you want to call it. And, for me, I didn't want it to get there. I didn't want to go over that cliff to start making the changes. I wanted to prevent myself to reaching that cliff. And, yeah, it took a lot of willpower, and I'm super happy at where I'm at right now.
Pao Choua, it sounds like when back in August 2019, maybe similar to other times where you've gone through that release and reentry process, it sounds like you had a lot of things to figure out at once, right? You had housing things to worry about, right? You mentioned the TLP, and I'd be interested in learning more about how you survived there. But in addition to housing, you probably had some food related challenges, maybe clothing related challenges, maybe school related challenges, work related challenges. How do you decide, what did you decide to tackle first and why?
What I tackled first was getting my food stamps. Um, it's given by the state, and it it was just very helpful to know that I'm not going to starve. Next was getting some clothes. Um, I had family too, but I really wanted to focus on myself. I didn't really want to focus on asking anybody else. That's just me, though. I had to. I'm the type of people who don't like to like shop at Goodwill or go to Salvation Army. It's a lot of pride. Um, and I just wanted to rock name brand clothes. But I had to set my pride aside, and I had to get a voucher from Salvation Army. And just be humble about what I have, and that's how I was. And it took some time. I just had to be patient. Um, because I knew that school money was gonna help me, and I just had to just be patient and be humble with what I had at the moment. And eventually, school came through, and so it's just glad I'm just glad to be patient, and I think most importantly, be humble throughout the whole experience. Always be humble.
What was there any of those particular areas that Dylan mentioned, maybe the housing piece, the food share, was there one of those that was really the most difficult for you, or that you thought was the most frustrating to work through?
No, not really. Housing, I was right at the halfway house. I had a roof. I really, that was just, it just gave me enough time to figure out what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to go, and to make other plans. So housing wasn't really an issue, but getting the food share was real easy.
How about how was the school enrollment process for you?
Super, super easy. I didn't have to do anything. I I don't know. Dylan did his thing, and like it was just very easy. The first day I came out, I think I went straight to project. I showed up at Project Proven as soon as I got out, and I didn't even hesitate. I'm like, I'm walking across the street to Project Proven. Showed up in the middle of class, and but it was real easy. I kept my appointments, and I communicated with Dylan, you know, and I don't think I really had any reason to miss any appointments. So, I showed up to all my appointments, and I asked a lot of questions, and Dylan made things understandable, even though they weren't understandable. And, you know,
I remember because I started here, I think shortly after you had gotten out and you were working with Dylan. And I remember on one of your meetings with Dylan that I was in on, you had mentioned that, you were kind of worried like about what to do with that like first part of your day. It was kind of like an idle hands thing. You're like, you're like, what the hell do I do? I got all this time on my hands and like no structure. School doesn't start for like 2 weeks.
yeah.
Do you remember that? So you
Yeah.
remember, so kind of talk about what kind of what you decided to do and how that helped.
Well, I was going into graphic design, and I was just really anxious to get started with school, and that was the only thing I was waiting on, and I didn't know what to do, and I asked for advice. Dylan gave me some really good advice about looking up into graphic design and just kind of brush through and to get a better understanding of what graphic design was, and it was such a great idea. It was, I went and got some books out the library, and use the internet, watch some YouTube tutorials.
Yeah.
And
I
that's what I
remember,
did with my time, just to,
yeah,
again,
it was,
this is about me, and it's my opportunity to learn about myself and to learn new things. So I just picked up some books about graphic design and started reading into it.
yeah, I remember, if anybody remembers when we were in the Coleman Center and when our like transition office before we got back over here, Michael he had like a table. Pretty much it was, if I didn't see him over there, you'd start to read. He'd be there on his computer with his books. So it's just those little things, just because I remember you saying, Mike, that you were just coming through the doors at Western. It just felt like the environment just felt so positive. It was just you just liked the feeling you had when you were there. I remember a graphic design instructor, didn't he give you a little, take you around and show you kind of the computer labs and stuff like that too?
Yeah, yeah. Even before, I think before classes started, I connected with Ken Hay, the graphic designer instructor, and he kind of gave me, he was excited to meet me as I was excited to meet him, and he kind of showed me around and showed me where the classes were and and I was able to ask him about what graphic design was and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really exciting, and yeah, it just I felt really cool to be here even when school didn't start yet, but like it definitely boosted my confidence. I felt like, yeah, I'm successful, and
Yeah.
um, even on the first day of school, I ran over here to Dylan, and I was like, Dylan, I was like, I think Dylan seen a smile on my face. I was like, man, I'm so confident, dude, and I was just so happy, man.
Yeah.
I was just,
Yeah, no, yeah, I remember that, man. You were glowing there. Yeah, so yeah, I love it. I just think it's a great story, for how, just because there's so many people that go, that through that. Maybe it's that 2 weeks before school starts. Maybe it's 2 weeks while you're in a job interview process. And, you forget that, maybe while you're, if you were just getting out, your days were structured and so much in that you didn't really have control over
yeah,
certain, you couldn't really go anywhere, and there were set times you had to be at certain places. Well, now you had all of this free time, and like you're kind of waiting for that structure to come back and help you out, and you're in this in between. And I think that's honestly a point where so many people, like, they're doing well and have all the best intentions, but all of a sudden, like, it's that idle time. It's maybe hanging out with, an old friend for a day, and that day turns into a week-long relapse,
yeah.
and it's so I think the way that you navigated that was just so smart, and I think a key to the success and turning it around, because I think you probably could even feel yourself teetering there a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, plenty of times. I was just really happy that I can be, be really open, be open with you guys. Like you said, I was teeter tottering there. I had few days where I was like, I was stressed or I had some urges, and I was able to come to you guys and just like, hey, I feel like this, I'm having these urges, and just having you guys give me just, a little bit of your time and your suggestions really helped, and but just being open about my addiction really helped too. And knowing that I have support not only from my drug counselor or my PO or drug court, but also I have support from Project Proven at Western. So that felt really good. And, you guys kept cheering for me. You guys kept motivating me and pushing me and just supporting me was fantastic. And that really helped me out.
Um, most people know that you're an incredible artist. That's not a secret. And Colin just showed a poster, an image that you just gifted to Project Proven today before this meeting.
You'll see it somewhere in the learner support transition over in the student success center here. We're gonna get it in a nice spot, but yeah,
There
it's
it
very
is.
bad at it.
Yeah.
You came into your graphic design program with a hell of a skill that you still have. I'm wondering though, if you can talk about some of the ways that your program challenged you, because it wasn't all easy, and how you worked through that, how you succeeded in classes, because that first term you rocked it. What are your thoughts there?
Um, yeah, it wasn't easy as I thought. I mean, drawing class was super easy, but some of the classes was just struggling. I don't know how, I forget how it was struggling. I think it was just being able to generate ideas like this. Not only that, working on the computer, drawing on computer, it was totally different, and it was like learning a whole new thing. Learning Adobe, Photoshop, and it's just so different from doing. You can do it on your phone, and, change the color on this, with your phone app. It's not like that. It's like it goes into every detail of that photo, and you change this, it just a little nudge of this have changed something to this, and so it did get frustrating a lot of times. It just got frustrating. Homework was just back to back to back to back, um, but I did the best that I could. I think I remember talking to you guys. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna ace every homework, even though I wanted to. I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I can, do the best that I can. And again, it's that being humble. The challenges were, I was humbled by the challenges, and because that was a learning opportunity for me if I didn't know something. And not only that, talking to other students and just be like, hey man, you never know when someone's in a worse spot than you are, and you know here I am, a recovering addict, and I'm in full-time school, and then I'm struggling. But I was talking to another student, and she was a single mom, and she was doing 6 classes, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna stop complaining, because she was totally kicking butt in class too. And so, and she just told me, don't quit, man. And she saw something in me that everybody else seen, and so I just really stuck to it. And it's about consistency, even though it's hard, but you got to keep it consistent. And every time I pulled through it, it just felt great. And having a 3.8, GPA, and being on the president's list was just, it was just an amazing goal for me, an achievement.
I want to ask one follow up. Those tough moments, right? They didn't just disappear after that first semester. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, Pao Choua, if you can talk about maybe some of the tough patches that have come since that release date, since a lot of your success, right? Like your road upward hasn't been a perfectly straight path. Can you talk about some of the bumps in the road and how you worked through those?
Yeah. I've been out for about a year, but I had I had a little bump in the road. I relapsed, and I relapsed for about a straight month. And it was a great learning experience. And I think, I'm glad that I stopped, and I stopped on my own. I wasn't thrown in jail to detox. And again, that, when I was in that bump, it was excuses. I made an excuse for myself, and that was why I relapsed. And but it was just a great. I detoxed on my own in my own house. I can get up whenever I want, and I laid down for as long as I felt like, and I soaked in every moment, every minute of what I was going through, and it just reminded me of this is not where I want to be. This is not where I want to stay at. And, I think the one thing I struggled through was being ashamed of myself because of how far I came, how far I've come, because before that I did 8 months of sobriety, and I was killing it. And then obviously COVID hit, and all the excuses out in the book you can get just came out. But, even though it was a negative situation, I really took something positive out of it. Again, it reminded me of, this is not the life that I want, and it's not where I'm trying to stay. And, just realizing what my potential is and starting from the ground up.
You mentioned with COVID, and I think it's even more impressive that you're just graduated from drug court. Was that 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
November 12th.
November 12th. So, like, to do it against all odds, really, because I mean, during COVID, during that time, how many other drug court graduates were there in that stretch?
One. I think one.
So, not that it's ever easy, but I just felt like during this stretch, it's been exceptionally hard. Just talking with other folks right now, it just seems things are as tough now as they've ever been for a number of reasons. So, just an impressive, work on your part. Just takes a lot of resilience, a lot of willpower, to make it through. And, there's, it was cool just seeing all the support you had there, man. A lot of people proud of you. And we all are proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself, because I mean, wow, it's an accomplishment.
Yeah, I read it. Once the COVID thing hit, it just really sucked too, because it really sucked my confidence out. I had to withdraw from school just because I couldn't handle. I couldn't handle this online thing, and it just, it wasn't me. It took away my whole college experience, man. But I'm hoping, in the future to get back to it. But I wasn't I'm not in a hurry to graduate, because I want to retain as much, as much information as I can get from being in the graphic design program. I think I've said it before. It's like, what's the point of having a graphic designer certificate and not know anything about graphic design, So I want to be able to, soak in every information that I can get. So, yeah.
Mike, I want to pose two questions to you, different ones, as sort of a way of closing this interview. I want to ask you what advice you would give to the Pao Choua 10 years ago, back in 2009. And then I also want to ask you what advice you would give to maybe somebody who's currently in this cycle of incarceration, release, and reincarceration. So
I think my advice I would give myself 10 years ago would be to acknowledge your talents, see your potential, and just go for them. There's so many jobs that can utilize the skills that I have. And if I would have started 10 years ago, I would have probably even 10 times better than I was today. And, my advice for anybody who's coming out, stop making excuses. When is enough going to be enough? And just go for it. Nobody, like I said before, nobody's going to give you your future but you. Nobody's going to give you your sobriety but you. And just remember all those hard times you had in jail. Remember being in that jail cell, in that thin mattress, that no pillow, and it's that itchy blanket, man. Just remember how that feeling, and just stop making excuses. When is it going to be enough? When are you going to be done giving time to DOC? I think there's so much resources out here, that you can contact and not be homeless, and there's so much out here, and I don't want to see anybody end up back in jail, and I want to see everybody succeed in life, sobriety, and stay connected with Project Proven. I think is the number one advice. Stick to your short-term goals, and that's what I did. I just kept making small goals, and I kept reaching them, and every time I reached one I made a new one, because it's all those little goals that get you to your big goals. So yeah.
So knowing that, what's next? What's next for Michael?
Right now I am working with remodeling with my family. It's going great. I'm still part-time at festival, and with school, with school, and hopefully maybe in January, but we'll have to see. I think I'm right now I'm looking for an apartment, which is like super exciting. Getting out there to be on my own, and yeah, I don't know right now, man. It's just,
it's exciting though.
Anything is possible right now.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also tattooing right now, and I'm waiting for my license to get back to be able to practice tattoo, and then I'll be in my own tattoo shop soon. And a lot of good things are going for me, and I can't be any more happier. So
Love it.
Thank you for your time so much for doing this interview. We look forward to where you're going next.
Yeah. Me too.
Yes. Pao Choua, thank you. This was great.
Thank you guys. You guys are the one that got me on. You got me on the Lacrosse Tribune.
Yes, this is Tribune. This could be anybody watching this right now. Really, you could be the next Michael Vu.
All right, y'all. Thank you.